Hi everyone, it's Hannah, and in this video, actually first I will show you how to set a camera, but secondly I will show you a 10 minutes dynamic mobilization that I usually do before my workout, so let's get started. I usually like to start the warm-up by massaging my feet, so I would recommend it for you as well. This helps release tension, improve blood flow, and wake up the small muscles in our feet. So first, place the ball under one foot and gently roll it back and forth. You can apply a little more pressure to areas that feels tight or sensitive, and I would spend about 1 to 2 minutes per foot using a golf ball for deeper pressure or a tennis ball for a gentle option. When you feel ready, let's move to the ground and start our hip mobilization. We're gonna move one knee, then the other knee towards the ground. Try to keep your body straight and your butt's on the ground. I would recommend to do at least 5 repetitions per side, and when you are ready, we can move to the next exercise, which will be the 90-90. The same applies during this exercise as well. Try to keep your torso straight and try to move in your full range of motion. So now we're gonna progress by pushing up ourselves and stretching our hip flexors here, and then be sure that you're tilting your hip by squeezing your glutes. This exercise is very good for glute activation and also a dynamic hip flexor mobilization. I would suggest to do 3 repetitions per side. The next exercise is a hip flexor activation. We will start to lift our leg towards left side 2 times and then backwards. We will repeat the whole movement 3 times. Then when you are ready, we're gonna repeat this to the other side as well. So the next exercise will be a dynamic hamstring stretch. From this squatting position, we're gonna touch the ground, stand up kinda, and stretch out our hamstrings. Then we will come back to this squatting position. So try to keep your heels on the ground. I know it's hard sometimes. If you can't, that's totally fine. You will progress in this exercise, I'm sure. I also started by not keeping down on my heels because I was super sore in my calves. Plus, aim to keep your hands on the ground during the whole exercise. Well, let's move into this kind of lunge position. And here we will aim to touch the ground with our elbows and then turn towards the roof. We should feel some stretch in both upper body and lower body as well. If it feels too hard to keep our knees in the air, you can actually try to put down your knees to the ground and it's a little bit easier. And yeah, I suggest at least 6 repetitions per side. So here it comes, another dynamic move. First, a hip dynamic stretch and then a hamstring stretch. I like to lift my arm when I am going forward and lift down my arm when I am going backward, since it helps to balance and also kind of like coordination. I usually repeat this 5 times per side, so I suggest the same, but if you feel more, you can do more for sure. Sometimes I also do more because it feels good. So here we should feel this exercise in the hip flexors by tilting our hip. So try to tilt your hip and do the movement. When you are not tilting the hip, probably you wouldn't feel this exercise that much in the hip flexors, which can also be a good exercise for your warm-up, but I would prefer this exercise for actually warming up those parts that I showed you. Let's move into this position and start this couple of push-ups. First, we can have our knees on the ground. Make sure that you are not curving your lower back, so try to keep your back straight. And in this exercise, we are aiming to warm up our shoulder blades by retracting our shoulders. And here you can see that you either can do it in a push-up position, but I think the main key is that you are not bending your arms. Our arms should be straight, and we only should try to move in our shoulder blades with our scapulas. And yes, without curving our lower back. When we are ready, then we can stretch actually a little bit our neck, and then we can move to the next one. So this is not the easiest exercise, but I think it's very easy to learn. So we will start by moving into a side lunge position, then sitting on the ground, rotating the hips, and then pressing ourselves back into the start position. If it feels too hard for the first time, I would suggest to use your hands to help to sit down and then help to stand up. I will show into the next exercise that how I would do in this case. And yeah, don't rush, try to move in your full range of motion, and I would do at least 3 reps per side. So if this feels too hard, then let's help with our hands to sit down, then rotate, and then standing up. You can always try to start doing this one and then try to find your balance, mobility, and then progress forward. Then let's add a new torso mobilization. Touch the ground with your elbows and rotate towards the roof 3 times per side. And then we're gonna do the same with straightened arms. Here we are trying to aim only rotate from our torso and not from our hips. So the hips are straight and we only try to move from our upper body. Let's add some dynamic shoulder stretch. The same applies. We are not shifting our hips. We are only trying to stretch the shoulder and move the upper body. 3 to 5 repetitions per side. Let's add some glute activation in the end. I would choose single leg hip thrust, pick up one side, and push up yourself in this bridge position. Squeeze your glutes and tilt your hips towards the roof. So I would say 5 to 6 repetitions per side. Dynamic mobilization, I think, is an amazing way to get your body moving and improve your overall performance. Make sure that you are adding these exercises to your warm-up routine or even use them as a quick movement break during the day. Oh yeah, and lastly, we're gonna add the dead bug, which is a core activation. I believe it's very important before we start our training. Make sure that you're squeezing down your back, your lower back, so there is no space between your back and the ground. Imagine that you are punching your belly. So squeezing the back down and activating your core, and we're gonna do a dead bug, lowering the leg alternatively, lowering the arm and the legs, and repeat it 5 times. I hope you liked this video and found it very helpful. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, and see you next time.